of best practices in within the government engineering colleges as well as premier academic institutions like yours, and then even from the industry. So from that point of view, every week, every 15 days, once we organize such lecture series, which will benefit all the faculty members and students of government engineering colleges.
Very
So
good.
it's my pleasure to welcome you to this online platform series 19. And this platform has given a lot of scope and importance to various faculty members of government engineering colleges as well as higher education institutions. Today's first session is yours, Dr. Manjunath. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of all the faculty and students. Anyway, they'll be joining you shortly. Before to start, let me introduce your profile. And we'll be talking on today. Dr. Manjunath TN is delivering a lecture on data management trends, and is a professor and dean of career and guidance at BMS Institute of Technology and Management, Bangalore. To briefly explain, to briefly introduce his profile, and is a very good scholar, and he received his bachelor's degree from Computer Science University, Bangalore in the year 2001, and MTech in Computer Science, VTU Belagavi, Karnataka, around in the year 2004. And he has got a PhD from Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, and he is awarded in 2015 in the area of data quality modules for data migrations. And he is having total 21 plus years of experience in industry and teaching. So he has worked in the various capacities like SGBIT, organizations such as SGBIT, Accenture, Wipro, Acharya, and currently is a professor and head of information science, professor in the Department of Information Science. In addition to this, professor will be is taken a charge as Dean Career Guidance of VMSIT, and he has held various positions of IS HOD for 2 terms and Dean External Affairs, 1 term as TPO, and traveled abroad to execute various business engagements through Wipro Technologies. And he has rolled out various programs at Acharya Institute, such as in-house internship for students and entrepreneurship cell at Acharya Institute of Technology. Dr. Manjunath TN organized and conducted various FDPs and workshops, and is also a speaker for various FDPs and workshops across the country. And coming to his credentials of research, he has got 70 plus journal publications in 12 national conference and papers, and 8 book chapters in his credit. And he has got a scopus publications where H index is 10, and he has got 236 citations. And he executed consultancy with around 3.5 lakhs on data migrations. And he has a professional career, is a professional corporate trainer and NBA expertise, faced 5 NBA visits and NBA compliance, and delivered 10 plus hours talks across the state. And is a member of various professional bodies like ISTE, CSIC, member of IEEE, and a fellow institution of engineers. And his area of interest are database and business intelligence, big data and cloud computing. Currently, Dr. Manjunath is working with applied research in data mining and Gen AI for agriculture and sericulture domains. Professor, it's a pleasure, an honor to have you on this platform. Really, the students are blessed to have you to listen to your session. So, on behalf of all the officials of DTE and the staff members of government colleges, as well as the students, heartily welcome you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your introduction. Very kind words. I will take up the session with your permission, sir.
Yeah, sure. You can share the screen if you have slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sharing, sir. Sir, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
I will start, sir.
Sure.
Namaste and good evening for all the faculty members and the students who are listening to my talk or the Google Meet. Again, let me recall my name. I am Professor Manjunath. Here I am working as professor in the Department of Information Science. First of all, I would like to thank our TGP sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity where to share my experience and wisdom which I have acquired through my academics and my research experience and through industry experience as well. The topic which I wanted to enlighten the faculty fraternity and the students who are listening to me is data management trends, because whichever application you talk, without data, nothing will be available. Okay, so I want to enlighten so how exactly the kind of trends which are available from the job perspective, from the teaching learning perspective, from the enhancement perspective, all of that I wanted to collect it and put it across. I mean, keep open thoughts so that you can also build upon that. Okay, that is the topic which I wanted to deliver today for about 30 minutes. I mean, if you can see the first slide, the center, a person who is there in the data management. Surrounding that, you can see a lot of other activities like data integration. I'll just take a pen. Data integration, data architecture, data quality, data warehousing, business intelligence, data standards, data security, data sharing, master data management, and data governance. So what are these basically? So why all this data management really needed for any organization, for any society as well, by and large? So this is where I wanted to enlighten and talk about all these topics which are surrounding a professional called as data management professional. Okay, so with this brief intro, let me take you through the today's agenda. So before I talk, I take you to the today's agenda. Let me start my talk with the quote for the day. Very important. So this enriches your talk and keeps you attention for the rest of the talk. The first quote goes like this: "Data is a precious thing and will last longer than the system themselves." So which is said by a very famous personality called as Tim Berners-Lee, who is founder of World Wide Web, WWW. So again, I repeat, data is a precious thing. Data is a precious thing and will last longer than the system itself. So that is very important. So that is the importance of data. And the other quote by Patrick Gelsinger, who is CEO of VMware, he says, "Data is a new science. Big data holds the answer for it." So you all know that everywhere, whenever you go, wherever you go, people talk about what is big data and all of that. That big data, as has given a birth from the concept of data, which is a new science, we call it as. Okay, so with this, let me take you to the agenda. So before getting into the agenda, what exactly the objectives, the learning objectives of the session for the next half an hour? Learners will be able to understand the need of the management in the business environment. So we have a business. So why this data management is really typically needed in any business environment, and the spectrum of data management and its importance. So what kind of various activities a data management expert will typically do it. So that is the second learner outcome which we are able to take up. And the third one, how the data is getting generated, in what format data is getting generated, where are we getting stored, how are we processing, how are we governing the data, and what kind of architectures we wanted. So all these things I am going to touch upon. So we are expecting the listeners of this talk would be the need of data management in the business environment, the spectrum of data management and its importance. The third one is data generation, format, storage, processing, governance, and architecture. This is what we expect some of the objectives of this particular talk. With this, let us move on to the agenda of this talk. First, let me touch upon what is data management. Then, what is data management spectrum? How data is generated, different types of data, and how much data is created on the internet every day and every minute. Data created by Internet of Things and mobile devices. Data management tools which are typically available in the market. Some of them are cloud management tools, ETL tools, data transformation tools, master data management tools, and reference data management tools, and data visualization, data analytics tools. And so, I mean, if you learn all these things, what kind of jobs which are available in the market to manage the data, then data management job description, typically then I'll try to conclude. Probably with this agenda, you would have understood now, what would be my talk would be focusing, revolving around next half an hour. What is data management? You all know that data management is the implementation of policies and procedures that put organizations in a control of their business data, regardless where it resides. Very important. Again, I repeat, So data management is the implementation of policies and procedures, irrespective of the data, irrespective of the business, irrespective of the location of the data, where it resides. You understood again a broad spectrum. Data management is the implementation of policies and procedures. Okay, suppose example, if I have a data center, you all know that we are interacting now, we are talking via Google Meet. So where exactly this data is getting stored, what kind of procedures and policies we are implementing to secure this data which is going to store. Got it, right? This entire spectrum, this entire processes, procedures, policies, strategies is nothing but data management. Now, managing digital data in any organization involves a broad range of tasks, policies, procedures, and practices. The work of a data management has a wide scope covering factors such as how to create, access, and update data across a diverse data tier, store data across multiple clouds and on premises, provide high availability and disaster recovery, use data in growing variety of applications, analytics, and algorithms, ensure data privacy and security, archive and destroy data in accordance with retention schedules and compliance requirement. Again, I repeat, so data management professional is responsible to do any of these tasks, starting from your creating, accessing, updating across various data tiers, across various layers, store data across multiple clouds. If I say multiple clouds, there are multiple public service cloud provider, starting from your Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud platforms, and Microsoft Azure. You got it, right? Multiple clouds, or it might be on-premises. If I say on-premises, maintaining a dedicated private clouds or a private data centers. Okay, then provide high availability and disaster recovery. What is that? What is the meaning of high availability? Suppose if I want to make my application access 24/7, I will say that concept as high availability. Whenever I ping my application, whenever I ping my web portal, so it should be available all the time and ensure. So it should be recovery from any disaster which is happening from the hackers or from the intruders or from the any person who is threatening that. Okay, and use the data in a growing variety of apps, analytics, and algorithms. Ensure data privacy and security is also important. Archive and destroy data in accordance with schedules and policies. So whenever we wanted data, we wanted to archive it, we want to archive it. So if we don't want data for a certain period of time, we wanted to destroy it or delete it or move slowly data into a data lake. Okay, this a person who is trying to do all these activities, we call them as a data management professional. It is the process of controlling or dealing with the data. What is data management? Data management is the process of controlling or dealing with the data. So with this, let's see what is data management spectrum looks like. So spectrum is nothing but wide variety of data management activities. So if you can see the lot of variety of data management spectrum which I am trying to put. The first one is data governance. Governance is nothing but talking about data assets, data governance, and data stewardship and data ethics. So next, data architecture. So in what way we are trying to store the data, which talks about your data architectures or data flows. The third one is data modeling and design. The fourth one talks about your database and storage management, where we maintain the data, we administer the database, and we maintain the database management system and business continuity planning as well, BCP. And the fifth one would be your data security, where predominantly we focus on data access, data erasure, and data privacy and data security. The sixth one would be reference and data master data management, which talks about data integration and MDM, master data management and reference data management. And seventh one would be your data integration and interoperability. Very good. When you are trying to move the data from one part to another part, so how exactly we are trying to take. So we do ETL operations like extraction, transformation, loading, and data interoperability. So movement of data between two, the public clouds or the two, servers and all of that. The eighth would be documents and content. So document management system and record management system. The ninth would be your data warehousing and business intelligence, where we predominantly talk about the intelligent portion of business and data analysis and data analytics and data mining, and some of the subset of your data warehouse we call it also data mart. The 11th one would be your metadata management, which talks about data about data, or the what I can say, if I'm trying to create a file, So a catalog will be maintained. That kind of a catalog maintenance, we call it as metadata. Example, in a library, in a library, you can see a lot of racks will be available. Suppose if you want to access particular rack and particular shelf, so this metadata management where they would have pasted on every shelf, and that will help you out to go and pick particular record. So that is called as metadata management. The 11th would be your data quality, which talks about your data cleansing, data integrity, data enrichment, data quality assurance, and secondary data management, and all of that. So this is a wide variety of spectrum of data management. Anybody are involved in maintaining and managing and accessing data and giving privacy and security, all of it. Lot of jobs are available. So if you say wherever data, a lot of jobs are available. So that is where we are trying to, we are not touching much upon data subjects in the either in the UG or in the PG. So we wanted to give more expertise on more subjects to be kept on data management, and more projects has to be thought, and more importance has to be given on the governance and your data quality aspects of it, or your reference data management and your master data management, or your data engineering perspective, or data engineering projects has to be given stress and importance. Next, so with all these things, how exactly data is getting generated? Okay, so from business enterprise point of view, data is getting generated from your point of sales. It is a point where a lot of sales will be happening. You got it right. Whenever you get into malls, you can see that a lot of points will be there where you will be getting billing, right? So that will be your point of sale. Or a person will come to you, what exactly you wanted it. He will also make a note of it through his iPad or through apps and all of that. That particular system we call it as point of sale. The second would be your feedback system, or would be comments. The third would be your inventory system. The fourth would be your financial systems. The fifth would be your books, accounts books and all of that. Sixth, bank statements, the blogs, the reviews, or it might be market research reports, or it might be product reviews, or brand reviews, or sales reports, inwards and outwards, or it might be certification from statutory bodies, or permissions from government agencies, power bills, then asset management, many more. So you can see how data is getting generated. Data is getting generated in multiple ways. In 360-degree dimension, data is getting generated. So from all the sources, data is getting generated in any business ecosystem. You take, I'll just give an example of your, any person for that matter. Example, I as a Manjunath, about me, if I'm using a credit card, data is getting generated from my credit card. If I'm using my phone, my phone bill is getting generated. My contacts from the phone is getting generated. If I'm using an ACT lease line, the data is getting generated from my ACT lease line. If I'm trying to use my Basecamp services, the data is getting generated from my Basecamp. So for that matter, if you can see, if I'm a consumer, or if I'm a user in some of the malls or in some of the systems, from there also data is getting generated. For any individual, in 360-degree dimensions, the data is getting generated in any business ecosystem. Now, what kind of data is getting different types of data generated? Predominantly, the data can be classified into structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. Now, what are structured data? Any data which is in an Excel format, which is having rows and columns, we call it as structured data. The data which is not in a structured way, where you cannot read it as it is, so we call it as unstructured data. Example, your JSON format, your AROHAN format, and all of that, we call it as unstructured data. Where you cannot read any document type data, we call it as structured data, unstructured data, where we have parent-child relationship. Your JSON is your unstructured, and your audio data, which is called as unstructured, all of that, okay? Your XML is an unstructured data. Again, it continues. Semi-structured. Semi-structured is a combination of your, your structured and structured and unstructured. It might be your JSON, your XML, or your blogs and all of that. Okay. And metadata. Metadata is nothing but category of data type, which is called as metadata, which we call it as catalog. Okay, catalog. Any data which you can take, any file system you can take. Metadata is very important, point, which is similar to, I always tell that whenever I'm talking about metadata, I give an example of cockpit. In a plane, we'll have a cockpit which will have all the movements, instructions, and all of that. Similarly, any data which you consider, a metadata is a very important component, so that to track and to maintain what is happening in that particular system. Suppose if something goes wrong, we can go back to your metadata and ensure who have been accessed and what is the problem, how to recover and how to recall and all of that. Next, some of the different icons, because for any layman, if you want, because this is a buzzword in data engineering field, icons used in the different types of data. And you can see that for any structured data, this is an icon which you're trying to use. For unstructured, this is the symbols which you are trying to use. For semi-structured, these are some of the symbols which you are trying to use. And for metadata, you can see that this is the symbol which you are trying to use. Any symbol you are trying to see, ones and zeros and all of that, you can say it is metadata. XML, JSON, sensor data, you can see it is classified as semi-structured. And unstructured, textual data, image data, video and audio, where we have a portion of it which can be identified, and the remaining portion is that cannot be identified. Structured, we have typical rows and columns. We call it structured, unstructured, and semi-structured, and metadata. So some of the examples for structured is your CSV, your DBF, your XLS. For semi-structured, you can see doc, emails and all of that. For unstructured, you can see JPEG, MPEG, and MP3 and all of that. Now, with all this basic understanding of data management and data management spectrum and how data is getting generated and different types of data. Now, how much data is created on internet each day, very important. So you can see that on each day, 402.74 million terabytes of data is getting generated. This is as per June 13, 2024, probably 3-4 months back data, which is said by Jeff Sludge, who is a vice principal of Splunk Technology. He said 402.74 million terabytes of data is getting generated on each day. According to the latest estimate, 402.74 million terabytes of data are created each day. What exactly we are going to do with all this data? So that is very important. Okay, how much job opportunities will create to handle this much of data? So this way we wanted to ensure how much DBAs are created, how much data science is created, how much data analysts are needed to analyze all this data. Because of all this data, generative AI is also now getting different shape, and a lot of people are needed to handle that kind of data in the market. Each minute of every day, what is happening on an internet, which I wanted to showcase it for every listener who is listening to my talk. If you can see here, 3.74 million YouTube videos are watched on every minute. 4,000 people reading Yelp reviews, and 174,000 apps are downloaded from the Play Stores. 16.2 million texts were sent. 231 million emails were sent. 13.2 thousand listeners active on Spotify, and 6 million people shopping online. 6 million people shopping online every minute. 6.3 million Google searches are happening per minute. So 44 million people viewing Facebook live streams every minute. So 12.5 thousand, 12.5 thousand ride shares taken every minute. 20.8, so which is 208,000 active users on LinkedIn every minute. 2.1 million people are active on Facebook. 35,000 tweets sent every minute. So 115.7 thousand searches on Pinterest. So 66,000 photos and videos shared on Instagram on every minute. 3.5 billion Snapchats are created every minute. 625 million videos watched on TikTok. So 452,000 hours of content streamed on Netflix. So this is which is happening every minute on the day in an internet. So much of data is getting generated in every nook and corner of the business using the internet. See the beauty of internet and evolution of internet, which is creating an impact. So the next question, so after getting so much of data, after creating so much of data, what we will do? How do we analyze and how do you ensure there is a business is created across this data generated? This is very important. This is where my entire talk, which is called as data management. How do we handle data generated which benefits the business is my question. My question would be, so suppose so much of data is getting generated on every minute on the internet from various different sources. How do you handle this data which is generated and how this will impact the businesses for their revenues? Data created by mobiles and Internet of Things. This is by Google Gemini AI. Number of mobile users in 2021, there are 7.1 billion mobile users worldwide, and number is projected to reach 7.49 billion by 2025. 7.49 billion by 2025. Number of smartphone users in 2023, the global smartphone penetration rate was estimated at 69% with 6.7 billion smartphones and subscriptions worldwide. Growth rate, the number of unique mobile users is growing at the rate of 2.1% per year, while the number of smartphones is growing at the annual rate of 2.5%. Mobile subscription versus population, there are more mobile subscriptions than the people on the planet. See the beauty. There are more mobile subscriptions than the people on the planet. Countries with the most mobile numbers, China has the most phone numbers per citizen, 100. Most phone numbers per citizen per 100 citizens, followed by India and Indonesia. Data consumption, India consumes the highest mobile data per smartphone user in the world. Smartphone ownership by age, only 61% of the adults age 65 or older own smartphones. Older people use a smartphone. See, mobile broadband coverage, 5% of the world's population is still not covered by mobile broadband. See, with this mobile broadband restriction, we could able to achieve this much. If think about 5G deployment, 6G coming in, think about what kind of revolutions we can expect. How is the data management industry is going to grow, and how generative AI industry is going to grow, and what will be the threats and what will be the positives, and how we wanted to tailor make and how we wanted to educate the adult educators where we are dealing with in higher education institutions, in diploma institutions, and all of that. So if you see, using mobile and IoT, huge volume of data is getting generated. How do you handle this? Because we can see the IIoT in industry, Internet of Things. So a lot of data is getting generated from the machineries. A lot of data is getting generated from the sensors. So how do you handle all these things is a question mark. So I also endorse and I wanted to emphasize and stress, a lot of data is getting generated. We wanted to have certain controlling mechanism, governing mechanism, giving privacy mechanism, giving security mechanism. So recently India also has passed the Personal Act bill, how to protect the personal data without giving it to the public people and all of that. So what I wanted to emphasize is the huge amount of data is getting generated. How do you control and how do you govern, and what kind of rules, policies, strategies wanted to bring in? So how do we educate on the adults is my question mark. Growth in the data generating services. I'll not spend much time, probably the want of time. So I have another 10 minutes. I'll try to cover. So a lot of data is getting generated. Every business is generating the data. What do we do with this? So data management plays a very vital role is what I wanted to convey. So then now, so there are a lot of tools which data management professionals are using across the industry. Data management tools have been classified into various variety ways. So one of them is cloud data management tools, which is built on the cloud. Now for the cloud, these tools connect to and integrate multiple data sources via APIs. API is one of the important components where we wanted to integrate it in the syllabus itself, application programming interface. So because now we have a data example. Today I was talking to one of the students. He's using an LLM, Gemini AI LLM. So can we integrate Gemini AI LLM into our application which you are trying to build? So there is a publicly available API where we can take that API and integrate to your application. So if you don't teach API programming in the classroom for the students, so they lose many things. They cannot integrate. They cannot access the data which is publicly available. Webhooks are direct database connections. So we have the second class of data management tools is ETL tools. ETL stands for extraction, transformation, loading. Predominantly, this term has evolved from data warehousing. To build a centralized data warehouse repository, we wanted to extract data from heterogeneous resources and transform according to the business requirement and load it to the centralized warehouse, which acts as a business intelligence system or decision support system. And the third class of is called as data transformation tools, which help typically to transform the data from one form to another form, which helps us to clean, aggregate, summarize, and help the management people to take appropriate decisions to increase their return on all of that. The fourth class is called as master data management. This is very important, which help to visualize complex sets of master data across the organizations and facilitate data stewardship by subject matter experts who oversees creation and maintenance of reference data. What is this reference data? Very, very important. Example, now tomorrow I wanted to create an application. In order to ensure that application is running properly, you wanted to create a reference data which meets every business rule or every, what I can say, a standard data which passes that rules. Okay, rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3, rule number 4. So that reference data which we are going to create, that the person who is trying to do that reference data creation, we call it as master data management. There are a lot of tools which are available. A lot of proprietary products are also available. So one among them from IBM, we call it as Optum, OPTUM. Optum tool is there, which is master data management. A lot of industry people are using that. So reference data management again often provides, again, it's a subset of MDM. It defines business processes around reference data and help stakeholders populates reference data and manage it over time. And the last class of data management tools is data visualization and data analytics tools, which helps to visualize and analyze the data. Once data has been moved to the data warehouse, we wanted to visualize from the graphs, from the charts, from the various donut hash graph and all of that.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sorry.
Sir.
Just wind up another 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll do it, sir. I'll do it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Another expert is waiting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sure, sir. So I'll not take more than 2 or 3 minutes, sir. Data visualization, data analytics tools, which is predominantly used for data visualization and analytics part. Okay, and I'll just one of the best cloud data management tools is Amazon Web Services. Probably people can also get an access and account and explore how to get into how to use Amazon Web Services. The second one is Microsoft Azure, which is a product of Microsoft, and the third tool is Google Cloud, which is Google Cloud platform, which you're trying to use now, and the Oracle data management suite from Oracle and SAP data management from SAP. And best ETL, some of the ETL tools which are available in the market is Informatica Power Center and Stitch Data and Fivetran and Blender and Microsoft SQL Server SSIS and Azure Data Factory, Talent and Aluma. And best master data management is Dell Boomi and Prophecy and SAP NetWeaver and TIPCO MDM. And best reference data management is one-to-one from Colibra and Magnitude and Informatica MDM Reference 360 and Relito Cloud. And best analytics and visualization tools like Tableau, Charito, and Looker BI from Google, and Metabase, and Microsoft Power BI from Microsoft, and Mode Analytics. And some of the job titles which fits for the data management is data scientist and business intelligent analyst and database developer, database administrator, data engineer, data analytics manager, and some of the others, data security administrator, master data management specialist, data architects, master data management analyst, data manager, big data software developer. And these are some of the job descriptions which are available in an internet to inspire people to take to start their profession on this particular data management. Sir, with this, if there are any question and answers, I'll take up. These are all some of the references. Thank you very much, sir.
First of all, I just sorry, Manjunath, because I have to rush. We have left with only a few minutes. Any questions from audience? I think you'll be able to take up 1 or 2 questions quickly. I think there are no questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. It's my pleasure. Within a short period, you could able to make it this presentation. Anyway, you are experienced in giving a lot of presentations and lectures, even for corporate people. I think it will not be a big deal for you. Anyway, within a short period, I think you are able to complete most of the database concepts, and I gave the statistics of the available subscribers, especially the mobile phone. It was very interesting. Thank you very much, Manjunath, for your wonderful talk.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
And,
With your permission, I will sign off, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Namaste.
And now we have next speaker uh, from our Government Engineering College, Mr. Gopal. Hello.
Hello, sir.
You are there, right?
Yeah. Could you hear me, sir?
Yeah. I could
Yeah,
able to
yes,
hear
sir.
you.
I'm there.
One second, just I will introduce you
Yeah, okay.
to this audience, and then you can start your presentation.
Fine.
So before that, just let me just today, Mr. Gopala is presenting talk on general purpose applications of ARM processors. So ARM processor actually very well versed in most of the applications today, and especially in real-time applications. And today we have Mr. Gopala, assistant professor from Computer Science and Engineering Department of Government Engineering College, Huinadagali. Mr. Gopala, it's your time.
Yes,
It's your
sir.
turn. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. I request to take over session. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Do you have slides with you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can share first. We can make it full screen. ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ. ಶೇರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ ಇದು?
ನೀವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ವಾ? ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ.
ಮೋರ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹಾ
ಗೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ.
ಟರ್ನ್ ಆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಶೇರ್. ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ವಾ?
ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಲ್ವಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ?
ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಸರ್.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದು.
ನೀವು ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ.
ಅದೇ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಇದೆ ಸೇರ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಸೇರ್ಸ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ.
ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಯಲ್ ಯಾರೋ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾರೋ ನಾವು ಅದೇನೆ ಇದ್ರ ಪಕ್ಕ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ.
ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್, ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಶೇರ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಫೈಲ್ ನೇಮ್
ಬಟನ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ
ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ,
ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಶೇರ್
ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಶೇರ್ ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕೋ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ.
You do one thing, you share your PPT to us.
ಓಕೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಲಿ ಸರ್?
WhatsApp ಅಲ್ಲಿ
ಶೇರ್. ಓಕೆ,
ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ಒಂಚೂರು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ. ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್
ಸರ್,
ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ಒಂಚೂರು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ, ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ಕಳ್ಸಿ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನೋಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನೋಡಿ, ಆಗ್ತದ? ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ?
ಸರ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ ಸರ್?
ಏನ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯೇನೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಫುಲ್ ಔಟ್ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ. ಹಾ ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಹಲೋ
ಸರ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ.
ಇವಾಗ ಆಡಿಬಲ್.
ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್?
ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. Very good evening to one and all. Thank you for an opportunity to present a very simple. Hello, could you hear me, sir? Hello, sir, is I audible? Hello, sir, is I audible?
Sir, you are audible, sir. You are audible.
The presentation is not shown.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಡಿಸ್ಕೌಂಟ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಹೋಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ?
ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್. ಇವಾಗ ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್?
ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಮತ್ತೆ?
ಇವಾಗ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಸರ್, ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸ್ ವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ? ಓಕೆ,
ಬಂತು ನೋಡಿ ಈಗ.
ಹಾ
ಬಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಸರ್,
ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ಒಂದು ಬೇರೆ ಒಂಚೂರು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಟೈಮ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ.
ಇದೇನು ಇದು ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಬರ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಇಲ್ಲ
ಬರ್ತದೆ, ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ರಿ ಈಗ.
ಓಕೆ, ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಂದು PPT ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತೀನಿ.
ನಿಮ್ದು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಂದಿನಿ
You start.
Yes, sir. Very good evening to one and all. It is an immense pleasure for me to present a general purpose applications and advanced risk machine. You all knew it.
You keep your video open, sir. So that
Yes, sir.
You keep your video open.
ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇದು ನಾನು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿನಿ. 1 minute, sir.
ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಬಿಡಿ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಪರವಾಗಿ.
Continue ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ? Okay. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge on general purpose applications of advanced risk machine. We all knew it. Everyone has either form of a device in everybody's home or persons. So let me try to cover the key points to be covered in my presentation is overview of advanced risk machine, key features of advanced risk machines and applications, especially on mobile devices, healthcare devices, servers and data centers, automotive systems, internet working and communications, consumer electronics and embedded systems. So first of all, let us try to understand. AROHAN is a company in the year 1983 introduced advanced risk machine, which emerged as pioneering commercial risk implementation. We all know reduced instruction computer is actually now coming up and widely been used across many areas. And over time, ARM gained immense popularity, underwent developed by most of the companies. We all know is Apple, VLSI, leading to its ownership in 1990. And why actually ARM has become so popular, and the main reason behind this is actually it is a performance-driven nature. Rather than the speed, we are all actually looking for effectiveness, efficiency, and main reason for using advanced risk machine is actually because of its architecture. Because of its Hello, sir. Is it okay? Because of its architectural simplicity resulting in a compact size and reduced complexity, the inherent simplicity allows for optimal performance when integrated into a system, delivering high levels of efficiency. The features of ARM, why the ARM has actually become so familiar is because of the following features. The ARM processors are built upon the principles of reduced instruction set computer architecture. Consequently, they incorporate essential characteristics associated with RISC architecture, which encompasses the following. The first and foremost feature of the ARM is actually instruction set. We all know it. Each and every instruction length is fixed in format. Of course, I have just taken here the very simple example of 32-bit ARM architecture. But nowadays, even we have actually access to 64-bit microcontrollers too. So which executes every instruction, fixed length of instruction, and each instruction get executed in a single clock cycle, which makes more effective and efficient compared to a CISC architecture. We all know it. CISC architecture actually a complex in the nature and takes more time to execute and also need more power to complete the execution. So the second one is the more important feature of ARM is a register architecture, which has more than 37 general purpose register. Each register can be used to perform function compared to a CISC processor. And the next point, key point is the pipelining, because you know pipelining is a very important factor which actually improves the efficiency of the execution. Depending upon the version of the ARM, we have several phases of pipelining. Compared to pipelining of CISC machine, here the simple instructions get actually fetched, decoded, and executed parallelly, and takes very less time and power compared to CISC architecture. The next feature is the load and store model, because the instructions get loaded and then stored using only the internal register set of the RISC machine, compared to a memory operations with respect to a CISC. That is the major advantage. And then the more important feature, again, one more, is the thumb instruction set, which implies a 32 can even allow a 16-bit instruction to get executed whenever it is really needed, because in more intensive, power intensive and memory intensive devices certainly requires less power to execute, and then which again improves the code density. Code density means, of course, parallelly many instructions get executed on behalf of thumb instruction set, and there is a possibility of executing without checking a condition, because there is a pre-condition actually comes with the instruction set, so which enables the program to get executed faster than the CISC. So these are the main. And of course, there is one more advanced feature is interworking of ARM and thumb too. That means whenever there is a need for flexibility, the code optimization helps because of this interworking. Whenever 32-bit instructions get executed, it will switch to 32-bit. Whenever 16-bit needed, it will get switched to 16-bit. The next one is, of course, a multiple execution modes. There are several modes like user mode, supervisor mode, interrupt mode, system mode. This helps and enables the system to be executed in productive mode. And co-processors, ARM comes with many built-in processors integrated into it, like digital signal processors, floating point executions, and so on. And single instruction multiple data helps in multimedia signal processing, which is the main feature of ARM. Example of that ARM is a neon technology. Of course, trust zone is one more important feature, which actually enables the hardware isolation between secure and non-secure environments. Whenever booting takes place, which will not allow users to fetch which will the authentication is actually whenever sensitive data task is executed, that will be actually protected from the user mode. Power efficiency is the main feature where ARM comes into picture. ARM actually being used actually because of the main reason, battery power devices, because we all know it, our mobile runs for a week without charging. So that is the main reason. And applications of ARM in mobile devices, we all know it. The main benefit of ARM architecture for mobile phone design is its low power consumption and high performance. ARM processors are optimized for battery life and thermal management, which are crucial for mobile devices that need to run for long periods of time and avoid overheating. ARM came to dominate the mobile market. Why? Because of this feature. Whenever you think of mobile computing hardware, ARM is likely the first company that comes to mind, and it should be used. While historically Intel has been recognized as the leader in chip making, for years now, ARM has actually slowly taken the market in its hand, where computing devices no longer need to be faster, but they need to be more efficient and portable. So this is why ARM dominates the mobile processor market with almost every major release built on top of its architecture. So now, as from today, there are 250 billion ARM chips were actually chipped and being used in TVs, embedded applications, biometric systems, laptops, and tablets. And nowadays, even we are actually coming up with laptops and desktop servers, and many more CISC machines are actually replaced by ARM. So this is the main reason why actually we are actually using advanced stress machine. The first thing to note is that ARM doesn't actually make processor. This is the main important feature of ARM. ARM actually not manufacture the chip. Instead, they just give instruction set architecture wherein which allows the other manufacturer to flexibility to make their own chip. So since they are all using common standard code that runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, will also run on Samsung Exynos processor. That means ASI is common. That is the only main idea, and irrespective of the chip actually being designed and developed by other companies, can still run the same code. So in an embedded or mobile scenario, power efficiency is far more important than performance. Almost every single time a system designer will take a small performance hit, it means saving power. While a high-end desktop and x86 CPU may draw 200 watts at load, a mobile processor will max at 2 to 3 watts. This is the main idea behind using ARM processor in mobile devices. And one more key important feature is heterogeneous architecture. That means which has two different built-in cores. Whenever a small amount of power and efficiency is required to execute a code which actually runs in a little core, and if it really requires the code to be executed and more computationally intensive task is really coming, then the compiler will decide so that the switching will take place between little to big, and then big will actually come into force to execute the code. And one more important thing is licensing and widespread use. So licensing will actually help the physical building of chips to other companies. The licensing will actually take place like this. Standard ARM licensing terms are per unit royalty. So standard, of course, there are two types of licensing: per product license and then per unit royalty. Per product means, of course, a company will decide to manufacture a product for a small case, then the ARM will license based on the requirement of the company. So thereby the licensing will vary from one manufacturer to other manufacturer, and per unit is actually when the large amount of devices are actually manufactured, then the company will make use per unit royalty. So this is the kind of flexibility given to a manufacturer to generate and manufacture their chips. So this is the only main reason. And also one more important thing is actually a system on chip is, even might have heard of it. Nowadays, all the processors are actually built onto a single chip. So this is the simple example that one can, Qualcomm SoC system on chip will looks like this. In addition to a CPU core, there are other digital signal processor, display board, graphics card, and many more internet network connectors and Bluetooth connector, USB connectors. Everything will be molded on single chip, which helps actually to increase the speed of execution and also consumes very less power. The examples of ARM-based processor used in mobiles are example Qualcomm Snapdragon series that are actually been used in Galaxy S23, and of course Snapdragon 778G will be actually used in Samsung Galaxy A52, and Apple A and M series were actually used in iPhone 14 and 14 Max. iPhone A15 Bionic is actually used in iPhone 14 and standard edition. And Apple's M series 6 were actually used in tabs, iPads. So, and Samsung Exynos series actually used in, of course, Galaxy S22 series. MediaTek Dimensity and Helio series actually used in Dimensity 9200 and Helio G95 used in Realme 7 series. Google Tensor system on chip actually been used in Pixel 7 and i7. And Huawei Kirin series actually used in Kirin 9000 series. So now let us try to understand the major advantages and applications of ARM in healthcare systems. ARM technology plays a crucial role in transforming the healthcare industry by enabling innovative solutions that improve patient outcomes and streamline healthcare processes. ARM's contribution to healthcare technology are vast and varied, helping to create a more efficient, accessible, and personalized healthcare system. Here are some detailed applications of ARM in the healthcare system. ARM processors power devices like smart patches, that is remote patient monitoring is the first application wherein you can look into it, wearable monitors, inhalers, and then of course that can track vital signs and other health metrics in real time. These devices enable remote monitoring of patients, especially those with chronic conditions, reducing the need for frequent hospital visits. Example is actually Philips offers a comprehensive remote patient monitoring system. Biotelemetry by Philips specializes the cardiac remote monitoring solutions. AliveCar actually provides a mobile ECG device for real-time heart monitoring. And Medtronic Care Management Services focuses on managing chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. Telemedicine is the other application area where ARM processor is actually being used. With the rise of telemedicine, ARM technology supports low-power, high-performance devices that facilitate virtual consultations. This allows patients to receive medical advice and treatment from the comfort of their homes, improving access to healthcare services. The best example is the intensive care unit given by Philips, EICU program, and Nighthawk radiology, teleradiology, of course, 24/7 is available, and virtual health kiosks where this will actually give the complete information of the patient. Whenever a patient enters to a kiosk, the entire information will be actually recorded and then provided to our advisor. Then medical imaging, of course, we all know it, the MRI scanners and other scanners actually nowadays embedded with ARMs. Genomic sequencing actually helps in giving proper treatment to a patient who is suffering from virus. And then robotic surgery is the most important. Of course, Da Vinci surgical system is the most widely used robotic surgical system controlled by a surgeon from a console. And of course, will be used in most of the areas of prostatectomy, hysterectomy, and then mitral valve repair. All these are the examples where removal of the prostate gland for prostate cancer treatment will be used for the first one, and then removal of the uterus for conditions like fibroids or cancer. Minimally invasive heart surgery to fix heart valves are actually being used. So robotic surgery is, of course, ROSA, robotic surgical assistant, is one more important tool, of course, being developed, is available to assist in precisely positioning implants. And epilepsy surgery helps guide brain surgery to target epileptic foci. And then Mako robotic arm by Stryker Corporation is one more arm system which is actually used for knee surgeries, that is especially for orthopedic and joint replacements. ensures accurate implant positioning, enhances precision for better outcomes and recovery. And CorePath GRX system by Philips is actually one more robotic surgery platform, of course, which is being widely used in interventional cardiology procedures. And percutaneous coronary interventions used for placing stents in patients with coronary artery diseases. And XL is used GPS by Globus Medical. So robotic navigation system for spinal surgeries. These are many examples of robots which are actually being widely used in medical area. And Monarch platform by Johnson & Johnson MedTech is actually used to navigate and biopsy lung nodules for early lung cancer diagnosis. And CyberKnife system by Accuracy Incorporation is actually used by robotic radiosurgery system delivering targeted radiation, treating tumors, non-invasive treatment for brain, spine, and then prostate tumors, precise radiation therapy for cancer, and so on. Procept is biorobotics actually being used to treat benign prostate hyperplasia. And then Versius surgical robotic system by Cambridge Medical Robotics is actually a flexible modular robotic system used in various procedures. So minimally invasive removal of colon tumors, treating endometriosis and other conditions. And of course, a ion endoluminal system by Intuitive Surgical is actually used to helps navigate deep into lung tissue to obtain samples and so on. So these are the simple examples of medicals, of course. I hope there are many to cover within the short span of time. I think if chance is given, I may try my level best to cover this in the subsequent.
Professor, another 5 minutes, Professor. He's waiting.
Yes, sir, of course. Thank you very much for one and all for giving me an opportunity. There are.
No, you have 5 minutes. You can continue.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
You finished, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are a lot, of course. I think
Good.
we may come up with some other day. Detailed applications of medical alone will take much time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
thank
okay.
you.
Thank you, Professor
Yes.
Gopal.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a nice presentation. So we have a distinguished speaker, industrialist from AMD, India, Dr. Prakash Raghavendra. Sir, welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Thank you.
Just to briefly introduce today's speaker, Dr. Prakash Raghavendra completed his PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in 1998. And since then, he has been working in the industry in various areas of operating system, compilers, and recently into AI. So currently, he is a senior fellow at AMD India, looking at optimizations for AMD CPUs, GPUs for AI applications. So it's our pleasure to have on this particular platform of AROHAN Series 19. On behalf of all the staff members and students, I welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you see my PPT?
Yeah, you can. You can share. No, still it's not completely shared, sir.
It's I'm put in this full screen mode. You cannot see it still. Huh?
No, once again, close it and just open it, sir, again. Yeah.
Visible now?
No, sir. So full screen mode mostly.
Sir, you can share the entire screen.
Entire screen ಮಾಡಿ sir ಅದನ್ನ.
Yeah, okay.
Close ಮಾಡಿ entire screen.
Entire screen. Okay, it's not.
And then open your sir.
It's entire screen. It's not allowing entire screen. Okay, let me see now. How about now?
Now I can able to see. Yeah.
You can see the slides, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Prakash. I work in as, first of all, thanks Department of Technical Education for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all. My name is Prakash. I've been working in AMD for about now 12 years. This is just maybe 15-20 minutes introduction to AI. I think most of you know what AI is and what's the impact in the industry. We will just go through what is AI and how is it different from, what are the different parts of AI, how AI, artificial intelligence evolved. And we'll also look at some of the aspects of neural network stack, because I work in optimizing neural network stack for CPUs and GPUs. So you might have heard of AMD GPUs and AMD CPUs. So we will look at the neural stack and how optimizations are done, and how does neural network work in production in terms of how it runs on the CPUs and GPUs briefly, and what's the trends and what are the challenges ahead we're moving forward. Let us go to the first one. Now, the AI, there are multiple things. When people say AI, there are several different things they may sort of refer to. AI is not new. AI has been there for, let us say, last 50-60 years. Recently, the person who really introduced AI, artificial neuron, got the Nobel Prize. You might have heard of that. So, his name is Professor Hinton from University of Toronto. Now, earlier the AI was more of a patterns. Basically, essentially, the AI recognizes patterns, right? It recognizes features or patterns. Earlier, old-fashioned AI was patterns were represented by rules, right? There was a rules, pattern-based artificial intelligence. Then came machine learning, where they had hand-tuned features. The features were not learned by the system, but it was hand-tuned, and it is again implicit programming. But the deep learning is what changed the world last 15 years, which is actually the features also is recognized by the artificial, the system itself. I mean, there is a connectionist approach that what feature has to be extracted from the data is automatically recognized by the neural network. You don't need to really add features. In fact, you just put the raw features, it will actually extract what is required for differentiation. So that's a major difference between these three. Now, if you look at any neural network, it will have multiple layers. It's a very simple convolution neural network where you have input layer and then some hidden layers in the output layer. Now, in this case, the approach is data driven. Like you feed the data and you look at the output, and then you feed the error backward so that it will recognize the inputs to map into the outputs. The weights are called the intelligence. The connections between these neurons are called weights. And then the activations are one which it applies some, for example, for this neuron, it takes the input from all these things and the activation comes out. So these are the key components of neural network. Any model will have weights and activations. And the key thing is the weights have the intelligence, right? So if you have more weights, you will have more intelligence, right? It can have more memory and it can have more intelligence. That's been proven correct. What are the benefits of AI? I think it's very clear. It can be very highly productive, right? So in fact, in AMD, we are looking at how to employ AI in some of the tasks, which will, for example, debugging. It will do a lot more. It can increase the productivity because AI is a machine. It can do much better than a human being. Scale. It can handle large amounts of data than any human being can do. It can be very personal. It can be very secure. It's convenient and cost effective, and it can actually improve the quality of life. Now, let us look at the neural network stack. The typical neural network stack, we have this hardware at the bottom. We have CPUs, GPUs, TPUs, NPUs, DSPs, FPGAs, and other accelerators. As you can see, GPUs is the primary reason why neural network has become such a prolific today. It's everybody is using it because of GPUs, power of GPUs. And as you know, AMD has GPUs, and of course, NVIDIA has also GPUs. These devices are managed by the operating systems like Windows and Linux. And we have optimized libraries for each of these, right? So without the libraries, we cannot get the performance. So for example, you have Intel's library, AMD's library for the CPUs and GPUs. CUDA is for the NVIDIA GPU, and then cuBLAS is again NVIDIA's for GPUs. OpenBLAS, Eigen, and MI Open is from AMD. And beyond, this is the low-level mapping for the functions. And then we have graph compilers, various graph compilers, which will take the graphs from the graph format from the model, right, NNEF and ONNX, and then it will map it into these methods from these libraries, and then they run in CPUs and GPUs. And of course, we have frameworks. Today, the PyTorch is the #1 framework. Everybody uses PyTorch. You can see the amount of money spent by companies like Meta and Microsoft, because of which PyTorch has become #1. In fact, Google itself is sort of lost to Meta because of the amount of popularity PyTorch has taken. And on the top of this frameworks take these models, like you have Copilot or GPT or ResNet or GoogleNet, and then we have data, right? So that we have a lot of the one thing about neural networks is it needs a lot of data for training and for testing, and you have applications like computer vision or speech or translation, Google translators, and autonomous driving, etc. So this is a typical stack for the neural network. So companies like hardware companies like CPUs and producer of CPUs and GPUs like NVIDIA and Intel produce this, and we have the libraries. They have to give, of course, it enable in the operating system, the drivers, etc., and then it has to have the optimized libraries. The rest will be taken care by the framework providers. So applications are tremendous. I think there is no domain which doesn't need AI, right? I mean, we can see AI is being applied to object detection, semantic segmentation, traffic detection, post estimation, etc. I think I don't really need to go through this list because you know that it's actually impacting more or less every domain. Tell me one domain where AI is not making an impact. So it's a big thing. Now, one challenge for AI is to have, how do you capture the data, right? So the data is a problem. For example, if you look at the healthcare, it could be fitness tracker, cough detection, X-rays, text generation, summarization. If you look at this, the data is in various forms. It's a qualitative or quantitative. It can be nominal data or ordinal data or sorted data. It can be discrete data or continuous data, right? Some of the signals can be continuous data. It can be discrete. So how do you capture the data is a challenge. And there are various public data sets today. ImageNet is one of the most popular for images, COCO, WOC, Kitty, EDD, etc., etc. And we have several benchmarks to measure the performance of the neural networks. This gives an idea of what are the different players in DNN. Now, if you look at some of the models, right? So what are the typical models which are deployed in the industry today? One is vision models. If you can look at most applications are today is which recognizes or the object detection or object classification. So that uses mostly convolution neural networks. If you look at the airport, it automatically recognizes your face. The second one is, as you can see, the last few years, it's really revolutionized the world, which is language models, large language models like GPTs. And recommender models is some from Meta, which will recommend on a website what if you bought this, what likely you will buy this, or if you watch this movie, what likely you will move. So these are the three important models which are in industry today, which has a lot of implications. One of the important things is if you look at the number of parameters, as I said in the previous slide, the number of connections here has the intelligence. If you have more connections, more layers, it's understood that you are more intelligent, right? So even our brain has billions of connections. Even here, if you have more connections, you will be, it will have more memory and more, it will be much intelligent, and it can actually recognize so many things. So as you can see, GPT-3 has some, let us say 150 billion or more than 200 billion parameters. Small models like it can recognize small things, but it can run on your mobile phones. And why do you need so many parameters? Because it can see if you have smaller parameters, it can answer only few things, few domains, answering questions arithmetically. It can do some language understanding. If you have more parameters, it can do a lot more things. It can do inference, sense reasoning, pattern recognition, explaining the joke, physics questions, summarization, etc. It just shows some idea that as you have more connections, it will be much bigger tree. It can do much better job. Now, frameworks, DNN frameworks, there are multiple ones. As I said, this is slightly a dated slide. Now you can see that number of users using PyTorch is #1 today because of the money Meta is spending. Facebook or Meta is spending on PyTorch. PyTorch is the #1 today. Now there are, if you look at the how much of this shows how much of PyTorch is being used in research today. PyTorch. I mean, I would suggest if your students do some research, start with PyTorch. I think that there's no point in looking at any other framework today. Now, this is more of computer science. Whatever I said just now is a data science. Now, the computer science, what we do, what I am interested is not on the new models, not on how models work, more of how to optimize this. Now, whenever you optimize any application for a platform, you look at whether it's a memory bandwidth bound, or compute bound, so that we can know that where to optimize, right? So if it is compute bound, you can use an accelerator to accelerate the compute. If it's memory bound, you need to have a memory which has more memory bandwidth. It can actually feed in more memory, feed in more data to the network. Now, first understanding is to have a neural network. You see which one is what bound, and then you can address it accordingly. For example, in one of the cases, embedding bag comes from the large language model. So embedding bag is memory bandwidth bound, and if you have continuous features of memory capacity bound. And some of the parts of the neural networks can be compute bound. If you recognize what is bound by what, you can actually replace with the library, or you can actually accelerate on the accelerators. So various devices are used. As I said, GPUs is most popular for the AI because it can have multiple threads. It can have 2,000 or 4,000 threads. AMD has the latest MI300 product, which has 150 teraflops of compute power. And the CPUs are also general purpose. CPUs are also used for AI inferencing mostly, but GPUs are used for training and inference. And there are AMD also has the FPGAs or ACAP devices, which is adaptable compute devices, which uses the ARM core, and then it has its own built-in AI engines, which is used for some of the embedded applications. Okay, and then how is it used in production? Basically, the CPU gives by a vendor, as I said, either NVIDIA or GPU, NVIDIA or Intel or AMD, and they provide the libraries which are required for running this. And framework providers like PyTorch or PyTorch or TensorFlow gives the framework. The application uses the framework's APIs, and then that calls the optimized libraries, and that's how it runs more efficiently. Right? So that's typically then. So why is AMD interested? AMD, of course, does the CPUs and GPUs. We get money by selling CPUs and GPUs. Also, we provide libraries which run efficiently on CPUs and GPUs, so it will get the maximum performance. So just to give an idea, so when I say performance optimization, what do I mean? There are multiple ways. So you have, there are various things we can do. For example, we can do multi-stream execution. Multiple streams are executing on different CPUs because we have 64 or 128 cores. And we can calibrate the precision, making instead of running in the FP32 mode, FP32 bits, we can actually run the FP16. Today we are running in int8, and some of the GPUs actually are running today at int4 also, 4 bits for an integer. We do a lot of layer and tensor fusions to make sure, as the figure shows, you fuse those layers to make run it faster, etc. And then you have dynamic memory allocators, etc. So these are the various things for optimization opportunities. So in the production also, we look at the compute intensive, as I said, convolutions, matrix multiplication, pooling are compute intensive. These are on the GPUs typically, and element-wise operations are some memory bound because you need to take multiple data to do the calculation. So it's memory bound, and these are all memory intensive because it needs a lot more capacity. So depending on the need, we use the respective hardware accelerators. I think I'll skip this. Yeah, so as I said, in production, we optimize the GEMs. GEM is general matrix multiplication, Vinograd and FFT and direct convolution kernels. And we parallelize, exploit the core number of cores. For example, if you have 128 core, we use the parallelization opportunity for all 128 cores. Similarly, on the GPUs, we have to effectively parallelize the kernel across the cores. And we use constructs like OpenMP or MPI to enable parallelization across cores. Another important feature for CPUs is vectorization, where you can do the SIMDization, which is single instruction, multiple data, and then use AVX instruction to parallelize it much faster. Okay, so what's the trend? Where are we going with this AI? There are various things happening. I mean, it's very difficult to say it in 10 minutes, but some of the things which I thought was useful for you to be aware is a federated learning, which is today the data is the king. Whoever has the data, I think you can see in the news recently, there's a big fighting between companies because of the data, right? So whoever has the data is really rules the industry. Now, there is a way of learning. You don't need to, for example, let us say hospital database, you don't need to really take the data, but actually you can do a federated workflow where the data is taken, but you will not get the data, but it will be used for training purpose only. Hospital A will own the data, hospital B own their data, but it can be collectively used for learning. And in manufacturing industry, with the problem is usually the code is the problem. Data will have enough data, right? For example, for the convolution, but in the manufacturing, the data is less, but code, we have a code. So for that, there are some examples of how to generate more data, or how do we adapt the algorithms to work on smaller data, right? And then skip this. Okay, the other one is obviously the ADAS, which is the automatic driving. Still we are at maybe level 2 or level 3, but the final level which we reach is level 5, which is full driving automation. Now for this, we have used what is called as the quantized models, where from 432 you run it on int8 to run the much faster responses. The response time is critical here. The other challenge which you have in industry is sustainability. How do we make sure that we run these models which needs thousands of GPUs with a less carbon footprint? That's another thing. So AMD has a goal to reduce the power it requires to run any model by 25x, etc. So we have come up with a new architectures called AI engines, which go into laptop today, which is very, very power efficient. Right? I think that's all I had. So as I said, there are some challenges. I think you may know. One is data privacy and security. Lack of standardization is another challenge. And the other important challenge, ethical concerns, right? I mean, whether AI is being used for ethical reasons, and can we really believe what AI says, right? So those are the ethical questions which it raises. And the programming and optimizations for newer devices is another challenge. So it's very easy to come up with a new device, very easy to come up with some new paradigm, programming paradigm, but how do we program and how do you optimize? How do you write a compiler for that? So these are the challenges going ahead, which sort of explains you how complex it is. Yeah. Thank you, Basuraj. So, you have any questions for me? Sorry.
Sir, good evening.
Any questions from audience?
Sir?
Sir, I think Parshvamurthy is actually asking.
Sure. Go ahead, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, your
Hello?
voice is not audible, sir. Vashamati, sir.
Some fee-
Yeah, no,
okay,
now I can hear you.
really, I'm
Go ahead, go ahead.
traveling, so I don't know where you are hearing.
Yeah, I
my
can hear you.
message.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
okay,
ahead,
sir.
go ahead.
Sir, humans are fearing about an AI. How do you come out on the AI fear?
Hello? I think,
Sir, you type, otherwise you type in text box. If you are in difficulty in talking,
type that.
we are
Any other
not
question?
listening you.
There is
Okay,
a
okay.
chat. There is a chat button
Okay, okay.
right corner. Or we can just quickly tell me the important words. I think how AI is something you said. Anyway, any other? Go ahead.
Sir, the humans are fearing about
Ah,
our
yeah,
future
exactly.
AI. How
Yeah, yeah.
how
Thank you,
we
thank
can
you,
overcome
thank you.
this? Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
one of the concern. Actually, everybody's concerned. Everybody's concerned
Okay,
about that.
thank you, sir.
I am concerned about my job. If AI can do everything, what will happen to my job, right? So at least my career is more or less over. Me and Basraj are so close to retirement. What happens to my kids, right? What will happen? People are scaring today that AI can actually take over the whole software industry. It can actually debug. It can actually, today somebody was showing me a slide which can actually automate the whole software development process. Of course, luckily it is not there today. It can happen. Now, what is my opinion? Again, this is a very tough question. I think it's my guess as anybody, like as good as anybody's guess. But I think it may take, it's a reality. It can happen. It can happen. But I don't think it will happen in the near future. I think it will take at least 50 years is what I think. So we don't need to be worried. But by that time, I think a lot more things would have come. I think there is a lot more opportunity for us to develop new models, etc. I don't think it's somewhere in the near future. But of course, who has seen 50 years away, right? It's very difficult to say. Yeah. Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah, to endorse this, just
Thank you,
continuation
sir.
of Professor.
Thank you, sir.
So there is a lot of, I think, if everything starts automated, if everything will become automation, the major threat is whatever the creativity of human beings, it will reduce automatically, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, great.
If you have
Yes.
AI tools are available, where you can do everything. I think you need not to have any sort of efforts at all.
Yeah, that's true. So the creativity is something which I'm not very sure whether it can do, is what people are saying. Again, I'm not an AI expert. I am more of an optimizer expert. I am more from the CPU, GPU kind of compilers, etc. But my thinking is, I don't think the AI models today are creative. For example, if it can write a poem, it can only copy Shakespeare. It can only copy William's Wordsworth. It can only copy Kuampo. But it cannot write it on its own, is my belief. I mean, again, I could be wrong. It cannot. You can always ask AI, can you write a poem? And it can actually look at all the poems written by, let us say, Dara Bendre or Kuampu, and it can actually take some lines and actually it can sort of, from that knowledge, it can write. But I don't think it can become another Nobel laureate. It's impossible. And that's what I believe. Again, So, for example, drawing also. It can actually, it's a drawing, it has trained using the existing images. It cannot think of on its own and then write something which is unavailable today. But for a painter can write something complete imagination, which is non-existent today. So that I don't think it is possible by neural. It learns from whatever it has given. Yeah. But still, it is scary. It is scary. I agree that what will happen in the future is.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Actually, when I requested you, you readily accepted within a short duration of time, in spite of your busy schedule. I know you are in a very good position. And I have a privilege of being with you as colleague in Analytics Circle. We were together. It was a nice time. And once again, we got an opportunity to kind of reconnect again in this platform. So it's actually a unique initiative by the government of Karnataka, especially higher education, from our Honorable Principal Secretary Shikhar sir.
Yes.
And he wants a blend of academic expertise from good reputed institutions as well as industry. And we will have two in-house experts. So they'll try to share once in 15 days, we have this practice of sharing knowledge with all the stakeholders, preferably faculty members and students.
Very good.
So with this, I think it will be a great, help for all the teaching. And since you are a teacher, I think you are interested in teaching, and you are there for some time in Analytics Circle. And once again, it's an honor for all of us to have you on this particular platform. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
So next we have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So we have next last speaker, Dodda Anamesha. from our Government Engineering College. To start with, yes, is today is delivering talk on alternative source of energy as a future aspects of the world, and it will be delivered by Dodda Animesha, the Assistant Professor of Mechanical Engineering Department from Government Engineering College, Kalkal. Sir, it's over to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You can share your slides if you have slides.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. No, do it once again. Navala ಆಯ್ತು. Can I share?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Are you getting my slide, sir?
No. Start.
No.
You got before. You try it properly. Close and once again try.
Sir.
First, you have to share the full screen, make it full screen, and then actually you can open this, slides.
Present now. Entire screen or window?
Entire screen ಮಾಡಿ.
Okay.
ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್ ಒಂಚೂರು ನೋಡಿ.
ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
Actually, initially did it, but later it's not able to do it.
Entire screen.
Sir. Then you have to click on the screen. Below you have a screen. You should click on that screen. Then you'll get
Now,
the
madam?
share button.
Now, madam, are you
No,
getting
sir,
slides?
it's not presented.
It's not. Okay. Madam.
No, close completely.
Okay, sir.
Then once again, try once again.
Present now. Entire screen. Sir.
Then say okay, then you have to open the screen.
Then click on that screen, sir. Below you have a screen. Entire black color mid screen. It will be displayed.
My
Click that
PPT.
screen.
My PPT.
Then you'll get that share button highlighted in blue color. Then click that share button.
Share button is not highlighted, madam. Yeah?
That's what, sir, I am telling that mid screen will be there. You should click on that mid screen.
Okay, madam.
After going
Yes.
to enter screen.
There. Now, madam.
Yes, sir. Go to PPT now.
Yes, madam. Okay.
Full
Good
slide
evening to
show.
all professors. Sir, are you
No,
getting slides?
ಇನ್ನ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ wait
ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಆಗಾರ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಲ್ಲ ನೀವು. ಅದಾವಾಗ ಓಪನ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅದೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಒಂಚೂರು.
ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಹೋದ್ರ ಸರ್?
Entire screen, yes, madam.
ಕೆಳಗಡೆನೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್. ನಿಮ್ದು ಮೀಟ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಕಲರ್ಗೆ.
ಬಂತು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವಾಗ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಶೇರ್ ಬಟನ್ ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಇಲ್ವಾ?
ಈಗ ಶೇರ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್. ಈಗ ಪಿಪಿಟಿ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗಿ ಸರ್. ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೋ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So, good evening to all professors. Myself, Dodda Animesha, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, Government Engineering College, Tarkal, Koppala District. So, my presentation topic is alternative sources of energy as the future aspects of the world. Before going to my presentation, I want to thank Professor T.G. Basaraju sir, since given me opportunity to share my views and thoughts regarding this topic. And also, I want to thank our Principal Secretary sir. I want to thank our Commissioner Madam, and also I want to thank Director sir. So this is the topic over which I am going to give the presentation. So in my topic, I'm going to cover overall these points, the important topics to be covered. So these are all the points I'm going to cover in entire my presentation. So the first one is, what is the status of consumption of fossil fuel energy sources? That is a present scenario of consumption of fossil fuel energy sources in the world. And next is the information regarding exhaustion of the fossil fuel energy sources under the prediction. Why are we going for fossil fuel energy sources? What are the alternative energy sources and their importance in today's life? Why should we go for alternative energy sources to replace the usage of fossil fuel energy sources? And finally, the advantages of alternative energy sources over the fossil fuel energy sources. So these are all the topics I'm going to cover in my presentation. So starting from the contents, in the contents, definition of energy, the basic one, classification of energy sources, why the use of fossil fuel energy sources, present scenario of the energy consumption of the world, and why there is a need of alternative energy sources, and what are all the alternative energy sources. So these are all the alternative energy sources, the solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, biofuels, geothermal energy, tidal energy. So we all know that the definition of the energy, it is the ability to do the work which is available in various forms and can be converted from one form to another. And the classification of energy sources, the energy sources are classified under the various parameters, and I have here listed all the parameters, and under that list, I have classified all the energy sources. First one is the based on usability of the energy. So based on this, the energy sources are classified into primary energy sources and secondary energy sources. Primary energy sources, the examples, coal, crude oil, sunlight, wind, flowing rivers, vegetarian, and secondary resources. The examples are electrical energy, thermal energy, refined fuels of synthetic fuels such as hydrogen fuels. Based on traditional use, conventional energy sources, the examples are fossil fuels, nuclear fuels, and second classification is non-conventional energy sources. In that, solar energy, wind energy, biomass energy. And third parameter is based on the long-term availability. Based on this, we are going to classify the renewable energy sources and non-renewable energy sources. In the renewable energy sources, so solar, wind, geothermal, tidal energy, etc. are there. The non-renewable energy source, fossil fuel sources. Based on the commercial application, the energy sources are classified into commercial energy sources and non-commercial energy sources. The commercial energy sources are electricity, coal, refined petroleum products, and non-commercial energy sources are firewood, agro waste in rural areas, solar energy for winter heating. Based on origin, the energy sources are classified as solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, fossil fuels energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy, tidal energy, nuclear energy, ocean thermal energy, ocean wave energy. So here, at first, now let us see why we are using fossil fuel sources by giving them most preference. Why we are giving most preference for the fossil fuel energy sources. So there are so many reasons. Now let us see all the reasons why we are preferring the fossil fuel energy sources. The very first one is the fossil fuel energy sources have very high calorific value and easy to locate with the advanced technology. Coal is a fossil fuel that is found in abundance. Transportation of the fossil fuels is easy. Construction of power plants that work on fossil fuel is also easy. Petroleum is the most used form of fossil fuels for all types of vehicles. Extraction is easy with cheap cost. So because of all these major reasons, we are using preferably the fossil fuel energy sources. So next, so the present scenario of the energy consumption of the world, this means that how we are going to consume the energy sources nowadays, and what is the status of the energy consumption of the world. That is the consumption of the fossil fuel energy sources only. The energy consumption continues to increase as world's population grows, people's standards of living improve, and also technology advances. After the Industrial Revolution began in the 18th and 19th centuries, energy became an important component for humanity to sustain a high standard of life and economic prosperity. Fossil fuel consumption has significantly increased, and using these energy sources has a significant adverse effect on the environment. A rapidly developing nation like India depends heavily on petroleum, diesel, and development, and as energy needs overall. According to the data from International Energy Outlook 2030, the fossil fuels like petroleum, natural gas, and coal are the major energy sources presently dominating the global market. Each of these has a share of 26 to 27% of the total energy consumption in the current scenario. Additionally, serious environmental concerns such as the global warming are caused by the emissions produced from the diesel engine. The world will need 50% more energy in 2030 as compared to today, with China and India contributing 45% according to International Energy Agency report, that is IEA. The transportation sector has grown steadily over the past 30 years due to more number of vehicles worldwide. And it is estimated that it is predicted that from 2005 to 2035, it is predicted that the energy consumed by the worldwide transportation will rise by an average of 1.8% annually. Okay, sir. I have got, sir. Yes, sir. The transportation sector is the second energy consumer in the world, accounting for 30% of the world total supplied energy, of which 80% is used for road transportation. Presently, the transportation sector is thought to be responsible for nearly 60% of global oil demand, and also it will be the fastest increasing energy demand sector in the coming years. So this is the present scenario with respect to the consumption of the fossil fuels across the world. So here one more information I'm going to share you is the total worldwide oil consumption. What is the total worldwide oil consumption, and what is the oil consumption only for transportation sector, and the oil consumption for other sectors. So this is the graph, and here the blue bar, it shows the oil which is consumed for other sectors, and red one shows the oil consumption for transportation sector, and this one shows green shows the total oil consumption, total world oil consumption. You can see here more than half of the total the oil consumption is for transportation. So everywhere it is there, and here up to 2035 it is predicted, and in the 2035 the oil which will be consumed for the other sectors is less than the oil which is consumed for the transportation. And this transportation, it will be more than 50% of the total oil consumption, which may be required for the world. So here one more slide is there. It is the oil share of world marketed energy consumption. It is expected to decline from 35% in 2007 to 30% in 2035. So this is the share of the energy sources. So the oil share is 35%. It will be declined to 30% if in case the renewable energy sources are increased, utilization of renewable energy sources is increased from 30% to 14%. So it is increased, it is under prediction only. So you can see here the usage of renewable energy sources is increased from 10% to 14%, whereas the usage of oil is decreased from 35% to 30%. So it will happen only when we go for the usage and utilization of the renewable energy sources. So those renewable energy sources are nothing but the alternative sources of energies which can be used in the place of the fossil fuel energy sources. So one more information is there here. So here the trends of total oil production and consumption. So the blue one indicates the production of the oil, whereas the red indicates the consumption of the oil. You can see here it starts from 1965 to up to 1981. The production was more, whereas the consumption was less. So now at 1981, you can see here production and consumption are equal to each other. And then afterwards, after 1981 up to 2009, so here up to 2009 only I have got this information. My intention to share this PPT is nowadays the consumption of the oil is more than the production. So you can see here a red one is more than the blue one. It shows that the consumption is more than production. Now we can imagine if the consumption of the oil is more than the production, how can we imagine the future scenario of the world? So this is the estimation and information about the exhaust of the fossil fuels. This is the very, very important. Everyone should have the awareness about this one. So the under a business as usual scenario, it is estimated that the coal reserves will last by 2018 years. If we continue consume the fossil fuel sources as on today, so the core reserves will be last by 2018 years, and natural gas reserves will last by 63 years, and oil reserves will last by 41 years. So now currently the crude oil prices are rising and fluctuating daily. The increased motorization of the earth has resulted in a significant increase in the demand for petroleum products. The petroleum sources are finite in nature and found concentrated highly in certain provinces of the world. The transportation sector is estimated to consume 65% of the total petroleum product supply. The global fuel crisis of the 1970s raised the awareness among many countries about their insecurity, the oil embargoes, as well as the shortages, and then it was concentrated a significant attention over the improvement of alternative fuel sources. So now up to this, we have seen how the energy consumption is taking place across the world. And if we continue in the same manner, in the same way, the fossil fuels, what about the exhaustion of all the fossil fuels, and when they may be exhausted, they may be completed. Afterwards, we cannot use the fossil fuel energy sources will not be available to us for our use, for our demands. So here, next onwards, I'm going to concentrate over the alternative energy sources. So let us start with its definition. The alternative, so it is an energy source which is an alternative to fossil fuel sources that will not be depleted when used. So this is very, very important, that will not be depleted when used. Whereas the fossil fuel energy sources, once it is used, it will be depleted, it will be lost. Whereas it is not taking place for the alternative energy sources. So it is usually a renewable source of energy that could be used when fossil fuel sources will be estimated to be exhausted. So next, the important one is why there is a need of alternative energy sources. Why we should move towards the usage of the alternative energy sources. So the transportation industry had been dominated by fossil fuels from the time that the internal combustion engines had been invented at the beginning of the 19th century. The conventional petroleum sources are found finite in nature, which contributes enormously for rising of greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere. Every day, the reserves of fuels derived from petroleum are diminishing as their demand rises. Therefore, the exhaustion of the fossil fuels is likely to occur in the near future. Furthermore, the environmental pollution concerns caused by the combustion of the fossil fuels provide a significant and unique motivation to develop the renewable alternative fuels that have the potential to sustain the transportation sector's ever increasing fuel demand. So here I have made one conclusion. Therefore, for the purpose of continuously supply of the energy, protection of the environment, and maintenance of the domestic economy in stable condition, renewable alternative sources of energy are continuously being developed and explored globally. And here, if we talk about the renewable energy sources, what is the potential of the renewable energy sources in our nation? As on 31/3/2022, we can see here the potential of the wind power is about 46.7%, and next to solar energy is 50.2%, and other is contributing by 3.1%. The others includes the small hydropower, which is by 1.4%, biomass power 1.2%, and others very small fractions. So this is the potential of the renewable energy sources which is available in our nation. Why should not we use the renewable energy sources in place of the fossil fuel energy sources? That is the question, and we have to think about that. So next, I am moving towards the what are the alternative energy sources and why they can be used as the alternative energy sources in the place of the fossil fuel energy sources. So now at first, I want to take the biodiesels. Why biodiesels can be used as alternative energy sources to replace for the substitution of in place of the fossil fuel energy sources. The biodiesel is a fatty acid alkyl ester obtained from the transesterification of triglycerides found in vegetable oils and animal fats, has emerged as a suitable replacement for diesel fuel. Biodiesel has been widely accepted around the globe as a renewable alternative to petroleum diesel fuel. Numerous scientific studies have documented the effective use of biodiesels made from various feedstocks in compression ignition engines. Biodiesel can be used as potential replacement for diesel fuel, and also it can be blended with diesel fuel in any ratio. It means that total biodiesel can be used by 100%. That means 100% biodiesel can be used, or otherwise in any portion. In any portion means 10% of biodiesel, 90% of diesel, 20% of biodiesel can be mixed with the 80% of diesel, and 30% of biodiesel can be mixed with remaining 70% of diesel. Like that, we can make the blends, and those blends we can use the diesel engines so that we can minimize the consumption of the diesel. So biodiesel is produced mainly through the transesterification of both edible and non-edible vegetable oils. In recent years, emphasis has been put on non-edible biodiesels because they are less expensive and no impact on food supply. So here, once the biodiesel is used, there should be more preferably produced from non-edible vegetable oils, because it should not compete with the food crops. That is the very, very important thing. So due to its numerous favorable properties, the development of biodiesel as an alternative for diesel fuel has drawn a lot of attention over the years, and also nowadays it is considered as one among the best alternative sources of energy. Only thing, we should prepare the biodiesel from non-edible oils. It can be made from renewable energy sources like vegetable oil, used cooking oils, animal fat. So these are the other feedstocks from which the biodiesel can be produced. Not only from the vegetable oil, it can be produced by using the used cooking oils, animal fat, and waste grease from the restaurants. It can be collected from the restaurants. It can be, otherwise it can be wasted by throwing it outside. Otherwise, it can be utilized for the production of the biodiesel, and that biodiesel can be again used. So by using the trans-esterification process, that is the chemical process which is used for the production of the biodiesel. In modern diesel engines, it can be used in its purest form. As I explained earlier, as I told earlier, B100 means biodiesel in 100%, or blending along with the diesel fuel. I already I already explained. Blending with diesel means B10. Suppose B10. But B10 means 10% of biodiesel, 90% of diesel. B20, biodiesel percentage is 20%, and remaining 80% is diesel. B30, 30% is biodiesel, and remaining 70% is diesel fuel. B40, B50, like this. So it can be blended with the diesel at any portion to create a biodiesel blend. So B10 up to B50, B60, B70, whatever it may be, those are all called as biodiesel blends. So it is a non-petroleum based sustainable fuel which is composed of triglycerides derived from extracted vegetable oils. It is a non-toxic biodegradable fuel with improved lubricity. It can also be used with minor or without any significant modifications in diesel engines. Since it contains oxygen, it reduces the harmful engine exhaust emissions and also improves the performance and combustion of the engine. So once we use the biodiesel as a fuel for the CI engines, so it reduces the exhaust emissions because it contains the oxygen when compared to the diesel fuel. And also along with this, it can improve the performance as well as the combustion of the engine. So it is environmentally friendly and can be produced using resources that are readily available locally. So it is used extensively in developing countries. It is a clean burning alternative fuel and it is very simple to use. So these are all the major reasons why we can go for biodiesels in the place of fossil fuels. Once we start the using of biodiesel production and using of biodiesels, definitely we can minimize the consumption of the diesel fuel. And next alternative energy I have taken is solar energy. Why solar energy as alternative energy source? So obviously it is the energy which is obtained from the sun, which is in the form of radiations as a result of nuclear fusion reactions. It imparts no fuel cost. It is an inexhaustible, pollution-free, renewable source of energy. As long as the sun exists, its energy will reach on the earth. It has maximum potential of all renewable energy sources. Sun gives 1,000 times more energy than we need. And if only a small amount of this form of energy can be used, it will be one of the most important supplies of the energy. So, according to our demands, the sun gives 1,000 times more energy than we need. So, this is the most important point we can consider with respect to the utilization of the solar energy as the alternative energy source. It is very easy installation and maintenance is also easy, and solar photovoltaic cell system are favorable for fulfilling the requirement of the electricity for decentralized application. Longer life makes it favorable for remote, isolated forest and hilly areas. And next, let us see the applications of solar energy. So it can be classified into two types of direct solar energy and indirect solar energy. So it can be used for direct heating, cooking, and desalination of the seawater. Examples are solar water heaters, solar air heaters, solar cooker. And by dropping the sun's rays into solar cells, the sunlight can be converted into electricity. So those devices are called as photovoltaic cells or solar cells. where the solar energy is getting converted into electrical energy. So indirect solar energy, it is the energy obtained from the material that have previously incorporated sun's radiant energy. Among the indirect solar energy, the biomass is the term used for all the material originated from the photosynthesis, which includes plants, agriculture, and forest residues and biodegradable organic waste. So these are all the sources where we can utilize the indirect form of solar energy. So the next alternative energy source which I have taken is the wind energy. Why wind energy as alternative energy source? It is the kinetic energy which is associated with the movement of air, which can be harnessed to propel the blades of the wind turbines. Wind turbine transforms the energy in the wind into mechanical energy, which is in turn converted into electrical energy through the generators. It is an environment friendly and one of the important renewable energy source which is available at free of cost. It produces no pollution that can contaminate the atmosphere. Generation of electricity is fast from this energy source. It is easily available in many offshores, onshores, and also remote areas. It does not take much land for installation of wind towers, and wind towers can be built together on wind farms. Farming and grazing can still take place on the land occupied by the wind turbines, which can help in the production of biofuels. It is an excellent energy source for large-scale power production. The minimum wind speed which is required for the satisfactory performance of the wind generator is 15 kilometers per hour. The wind power potential of India is estimated to be about 20,000 megawatt, while at present we are generating about only 1020 megawatt. This is the very important thing. So here we can get the wind power potential up to 20,000 megawatt. Up to 20,000 megawatt we can generate the electrical power. But here we are using only 1020 megawatt. It seems only one of the 20 2 plus 1 is one of the 20 values. One is your 1020 divided by 20,000. This is out of 20 out of 200%, we are using only 20%. Out of 200%, we are using only 20%. The available is 200%, but our utilization is only 20%. The rural communities often do not have access to the national grid. Wind-powered micro grids are suited to the low-density rural areas and can be effective in meeting local, special, and economic needs. The wind power plants have been set up in the locations where the wind velocity is high. However, these areas receive less rainfall compared to the other parts of the country. Power from the wind does not contribute to the global warming because it does not generate greenhouse gases. Wind towers are usually built together on wind farms. Now, electrical currents are harnessed by large-scale wind farms that are used by national electrical grids. Small individual turbines are used to provide an electricity to isolated locations or individual homes. Utility scale turbines are ranged in size from 100 kilowatts to several megawatts. Larger wind turbines are more cost effective and are grouped together into wind farms, which provides bulk power to the electrical grid. Single small turbines below 100 kilowatts are used for homes, telecommunication dishes, or water pumping. So these are all the major reasons, important reasons why we can go for the wind energy, why we can utilize the wind energy sources in place of the fossil fuel energy sources. So next alternative energy source is hydropower.
why hydropower energy as alternative energy source? So it is the energy which is associated in the form of flowing water of river that can be used to produce electricity. And this energy comes from the potential energy of the water in the dam, which is used to drive a water turbine. It is also an environment friendly and one of the important renewable source of energy which is available at free of cost. It produces no pollution that contaminate the atmosphere. Hydroelectric energy can be produced by utilizing gravitational force of falling or flowing river. Thus, hydropower can be generated using water collected from flowing rivers and storing it at high elevation and leading it through a tunnel or pipeline to a turbine located at the lower level. The hydroelectric power generation capacity of the India is 27,010 megawatt, and water used for hydropower can be reused again. So it means that once the water is used for the production of the electrical power, after producing the electrical power, it can be reused once again. So that is also very, very important. The electricity can be generated constantly by using hydropower as long as the sufficient water is available. Low cost of generation of electricity from the hydropower and also low maintenance cost. It requires a minimum operating staff for operation of hydropower generation system. So these are all the major causes, major reasons why we should use the hydropower in place of the fossil fuel sources. So next alternative energy source is the tidal energy. So why the tidal energy source as the alternative energy source? So of course, this is the energy source which is associated in the form of tides occurring over sea from higher level to lower level that can be used to produce electricity. It is the energy source which is available based on local geological conditions. It is produced through the use of tidal energy generators. It is also form of hydropower that converts the energy of tides into electricity. The tidal energy can be harnessed by constructing a tidal barrage. During high tides, the seawater flows into reservoir of the barrage and turns the turbine, which in turn produces an electricity. And during low tides, when sea level is low, the seawater stored in the barrage flow out into the sea and turns the turbine again, and in turn produces an electricity again. So whenever it forms the low tides and high tides, we can use the energy which is associated with the high tides and low tides by constructing a tidal barrage. By constructing a tidal barrage, the electrical energy can be produced by utilizing the power which is associated with the high tides. Tides. The large underwater turbines are placed in areas with high tidal moments, and those are designed to capture the kinetic motion of the ebbing and surging of ocean tides in order to produce an electricity. The tidal power has a great potential for future power and electricity generation because of the massive size of the oceans. Tides are more predictable than wind energy and solar power. There are currently 2 commercial-sized tidal power plants operating in the world. One is located in La Rance, France, and other is located in Annapolis, Royal, Nova Scotia, Canada. And there is a third experimental plant operating in Kislaya, Giba, Russia. So tides are predictable, stable, and they produce a steady, reliable stream of electricity. It can be a source of energy for coastal cities. No raw material is required. It is a clean, free, renewable, and sustainable source of energy. Because water is much more denser than air, tidal energy is more powerful than wind energy. Next alternative energy source is geothermal energy. So why geothermal energy can be used as an alternative energy source in place of fossil fuels?
So it is the heat energy stored in the earth. The word geothermal is from two Greek words. Geo means earth and thermo means heat. So literally it means that earth heat. So it harnesses the heat energy present underneath the earth. The earth's core with a very high temperature is a molten mass possessing vast amount of the energy. This energy sometimes breaks through the earth and produce volcanoes. Hot rocks under the ground heat water under the ground heat water to produce steam. When holes are drilled in the region, the steam that comes up is purified and it is used to drive the turbines that in turn drives the generators to produce electricity. It is an inexhaustible source of energy. Geysers and hot springs are natural areas where hot magma is close enough to the surface to heat the underground water. If done correctly, geothermal energy produces no harmful byproducts. Geothermal power plants are usually small and have little effect on the natural landscape. It is more regular energy production source than other non-conventional resources like wind and solar energy, and it is good for the hilly remote area where no other source of energy is available. The energy harnessed is clean and safe for the surrounding. It is also sustainable because the hot water used in the geothermal process can be re-injected into the ground to produce more steam. Geothermal power plants are unaffected by changing weather conditions. Geothermal power plants work continuously day and night, making them baseload power plants. From an economic view, geothermal energy is extremely price competitive in some areas and reduces reliance on fossil fuels. A large geothermal power plant can supply power to entire city, while smaller power plants can supply power more remote sites such as rural villages. So the good news for our future, some alternative energy sources can reduce the pollution, whereas using the renewable energy sources for energy means we will have more resources on the earth. Only thing, we have to know the technology and we have to practice the use of the renewable energy sources as much as possible in the place of fossil fuel resources, so that we can minimize the usage of the fossil fuel energy sources. And here, the alternative energy resource development is the job of the future. This is our responsibility. This is the responsibility of all living beings on the world. We have to practice the use and utilization of the alternative energy sources, that is the renewable energy sources, in place of fossil fuel energy sources, so that we can minimize utilization of those energy sources. So thank you, sir. Thank you for all professors. This is my presentation.
Hello.
Sir, yes, sir.
Any questions from audience? Hello, Ramesh? Oh, sorry, Anmesh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Kerta ide, sir.
Any questions from audience? I think there are no questions, Ramesh. So thank you very much. Sorry, Ramesh. Thank you very much for your informative talk.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Really, your presentation was very much informative on energy sources. I think you're taking a lot of time in preparing these slides, right?
Yes, sir. I have already taken about 1 week to 10 days. I have taken, sir. I have gathered all the information from.
No, I was listening to your presentation. I could able to make out that you have systematically prepared all the slides neatly.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
could able to explain Each and every slide is very clear, I mean, very meticulously. We
Yes,
have,
yes.
Dr. Manakrishna who has raised his hand. Manakrishna? Hello? You can take your question if you have any questions. Madam, you just to give him. Yeah, Manakrishna, one second. I think there are two hands raised. Along with that, there's a Nandu, somebody has raised the hand.
Hello, sir. Sir, good
Hi.
evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, your presentation was very excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My one question regarding is, so what is the cost wise per unit that is charge for the development of electricity, sir, between hydropower and thermal other type of power generation?
Other types of power generation, sir.
Uh,
Sir, as I already explained, electricity can be generated by using the solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, that is water energy, sir. But
Yes, sir.
so they actually, so we have to utilize those sources in more quantity, sir. If we use those those energy sources in more quantity, definitely we can reduce the cost per unit, sir. But here, most importantly, the question is exhaustion of the fossil fuel energy sources, sir, when compared to the cost of the production of the energy, electrical energy from the other sources, sir. Once the fossil fuels are exhausted, we cannot get the fossil fuels once again back, sir. That is the thing we have to avoid, sir. So from today onwards, already it has been using the renewable energy sources in the place of fossil fuel energy sources, but still we have to increase the utilization of renewable energy sources. So we have to avoid the exhaustion of the fossil fuel sources, or otherwise we have to extend the time which is given by the experts, researchers or experts, which is already contained in my PPT, sir. I have told, sir, the time period for a particular fossil fuel energy sources. That time period can be extended. By that time, we have to use the renewable energy sources preferably. We have to avoid the use of fossil fuel sources.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
sir.
another speaker, another audience,
Okay,
somebody
sir.
raised the hand.
Actually, sir, biodiesel is my PhD topic, sir, and others are. So I have collected the information from various sources. I have collected all the information, but from those sources, I have prepared PPTs on my own, sir. I have removed many of the information, but earlier I had prepared 50 slides, sir, but now I have reduced to 32, only 32, because the time restriction is only 30 minutes, sir. My intention is to cover all the contents of my slides within this time, so that I have removed many of the PPTs, sir. Only 32 slides I have selected and presented now, sir.
Yeah. Any questions?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, I need a few examples where exactly these places are situated in India.
Which one, sir?
Renewable energy, so other sources available in India majorly.
Available in India, sir.
Sir.
Sir, actually one PPT was there, sir. That was with respect to state-wise. State-wise it was there, sir, but I have removed that PPT, sir. But everywhere it is there, sir. Solar energy is
Sir,
always available. Wind
in our
energy is always-
Karnataka, any examples? Sir? In our
So solar
Karnataka?
power plant, we can see many places, sir. Even our many places.
Except solar power plant?
Tidal
Tidal energy? No, sir.
Tidal energy, so still developments have take place, sir. Tidal energy, so in many, so it is not used in many places, sir. It has to be developed, sir. Still, we have to increase the utilization of the tidal energy. The tidal source, utilization of tidal source is done in only 2-3 places. I have informed in my PPT, sir. Three places the tidal energy source is utilized. So it has to be developed still more, sir. But we are not moving towards the tidal energy so far.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Thank you,
Only
sir.
we are
Thank you.
concentrating
Because
on solar
wind,
energy, wind energy
we
and
have
hydro
wind
energy.
energy in Chitradurga, Asan, something like that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir. It is there. So many places it is
we
there.
seen,
Sir.
but
But
tidal
utilization
energy
still
in
it is
India,
less.
I didn't found any nearest places. That's why I'm asking.
So windmills are everywhere. It is there, sir. Windmills, sir.
We seen that.
Everywhere we can find the windmills, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Only
Okay, sir. Thank you very
over
much.
wind energy, solar energy, and hydro energy, that is water energy, we are concentrating, but we are not concentrating more towards the geothermal energy, tidal energy. Sir.
Sir, comparatively, it is the worth investment cost as well as output.
Sir, once again, sir, I'm not getting your question properly.
Sir, investment cost with respect to output obtained from these things.
Investment cost, sir.
Sir.
So investment cost, sir, actually, our intention is to use these sources abundantly, sir, first. And by using them in more quantity, we can reduce the investment cost, sir. But here the question is, we have to increase the utilization of renewable energy sources in place of fossil fuel sources. As much as possible, we have to avoid the use of fossil fuel sources, sir. Even though investment is more, if we utilize in more quantity the renewable energy sources, definitely we can reduce the investment cost, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
For
sir.
your
Okay,
valuable
thank you, Rudra, for your informative talk.
Thank you, sir.
And we could able to answer all the questions raised by the audience. So on behalf of all the DT officials and all the staff members, I thank you very much for your talk. Have a nice day. With this, I think we completed the AROHAN series 19 first for today. So next 28th series will be on next in December. Thank you very much, Rudra.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all, professors. Once again, good evening to all.